Many of you may have heard of the Enchiridion from the animated series Adventure Time, but many people have no idea that the Enchiridion is a real and exceptionally powerful book. The Enchiridion in Adventure Time is a fictional and magical book that serves as a guide for heroes in the land of Ood. It contains various tips, rules, and knowledge to help adventurers. It's an important artifact in the show and plays a central role in some episodes. In contrast, the Real Enchiridion is a philosophical handbook written by the ancient Greek philosopher Epictetus, who lived in the 1st and 2nd centuries AD. This real-life Enchiridion, often referred to as the handbook or manual, is a guide to living a virtuous and fulfilling life. Before we go over the secrets inside the Enchiridion, let's discuss its origin with its legendary creator Arion and Epictetus. The Enchiridion is a collection of philosophical teachings that were so good he didn't even write it. One of his fans, Arion, wrote it after listening to his public discourses. Imagine walking out in the street and spitting fire so hot that somebody in the crowd is like, "Yo, we gotta write this down." Well, that's exactly what happened with Epictetus and his follower Arion, and I give thanks to Arion for writing it down. In the word Enchiridion, the suffix idion is a small form suffix in Greek. It is often used to create a sense of something being smaller or more concise version of the root word. It can even be referred to as a tip, a point, or a blade. Enchiridion can be understood as a little hand or handy manual, since En means in or on, and chir means hand. So Enchiridion implies a small, practical, or concise handbook or manual. I believe that this book has saved lives, and I am not the only one to believe in the legendary potency of the Enchiridion. James Stockdale was a United States Navy Vice Admiral and a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War. Stockdale was shot down over North Vietnam in 1965 and was held as a prisoner of war in the infamous Hanoi Hilton prison for 7.5 years. Stockdale and other POWs were subjected to physical torture, including beatings, sometimes resulting in broken bones and injuries. Stockdale spent extended periods in solitary confinement, enduring extreme isolation. The POWs were held in cramped, unsanitary cells with inadequate food and health care. Many suffered from malnutrition and disease. The captors used psychological torture such as solitary confinement, isolation, and threats to the prisoners' families to try and break their spirit. Stockdale credited his survival and ability to lead other prisoners with his Stoic mindset. He often invoked the teachings of Epictetus in the Enchiridion, particularly the idea that one has control over their own thoughts and reactions, even when everything else is beyond their control.
I want to give you a book to remember me by. I was just going back to Caesar, and he gave me this Enchiridion, the Epictetus book. And I got interested enough in this book that I bought the real one, the big book from which it was an excerpt. And for 3 cruises, flying combat, I made myself read that thing on my bedside table. And I was really catching on to this thing when I got shot down, and that's why Epictetus was on my mind.
One famous quote attributed to James Stockdale during his captivity is, "You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. You must never lose faith in your mission whilst accepting the discipline required to face your own reality. To be hopeless is to lose faith in your mission. To be mad is to think that you can escape the prices required to face the reality or the possibility of your success." This type of madness can be quite subtle. Before I had lost so much weight, I would often bargain with reality and say things like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut out soda for this long," when the reality is all I needed to do was reduce calories. Every fad diet I had tried was me attempting to escape the price that was required for me to get the outcome that I wanted. Epictetus understood this principle well, and legend has it that he started his life out as a slave and eventually became free. He also had a lame leg. And legend has it, he was being tortured by his sadistic master. And during this torturing, Epictetus told his master, "If you bend my leg this way, you are going to break my leg." His master proceeded to push on his leg and contort it. And without crying or screaming or moaning, he continued to tell him, "If you bend my leg this way, you are going to break my leg." And he kept repeating, "If you bend my leg this way, you're going to break my leg." Until finally his master broke the leg. And legend has it, without tears or moaning, he looked at his master and said, "I told you, you were going to break my leg." Epictetus believed that true freedom was in our power to choose, not to determine outcomes. In this case, his master could do whatever he wanted with his body, but he could never break his spirit. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our impulses, desires, aversions. In short, whatever is our own doing. Our bodies are not up to us, nor are our possessions, our reputations, or our public offices, or that is, whatever is not our own doing. Before I reveal my favorite teachings from the Enchiridion, I'd like to stop and thank the patrons for supporting the Conscienticon. I thank you guys so very deeply and appreciate you being here as we grow and spread practical spiritual occult wisdom. And if you'd like to support the Conscienticon without becoming a patron, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. However, if you join our patron community, you will get access to free ebooks that I create and secret videos where we dive deeper into the topics that I discuss here. I will see you there, my friends. These are my favorite teachings from the Enchiridion in order. Number 1. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not. It is only after you have faced up to this fundamental rule and learned to distinguish between what you can and can't control that inner tranquility and outer effectiveness become possible. This quote from the Enchiridion is what I believe to be the origin of the prayer of serenity used in Alcoholics Anonymous. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking, as he did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. This prayer is so powerful and has undoubtedly changed millions of lives. And it's all from the understanding of the differences between the things you can control and the things you can't control. Number 2, if a person gave away your body to some passerby, you'd be furious. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along, so they may abuse you, leaving it disturbed and troubled. Have you no shame in that? I remember when I was younger, I got into a shouting match with one of my bosses. And at the time, I believed that my aggression was a sign of victory, that my ability to stand up for myself and speak my mind righteously was victory. However, now I am wise enough to understand that this man had taken control of my mind, and I had given him control of my mind at the price of an insult. So many of us are quick to anger without the realization that that anger stems from fear. But now I am painfully aware that every time I lose my temper, I lose twice. I lose my mind and I lose the grace of my character. Number 3. You are not your body and hairstyle, but your capacity for choosing well. If your choices are beautiful, so too will you be. Our choices in life are all we can control, and it is the compounding of these choices that shape our character. So it's a wonderful thing to know that you and I can change our character at any time simply by making different choices. And remember, my friends, none of us are under any obligation to be the same person today that we were yesterday. All of it starts with different choices. By the way, please like and subscribe because this video is not going to get monetized with the amount of clips I used from Adventure Time, but I thought it would be worth it to help spread practical spiritual occult wisdom. As we push forward into the future and face inevitable hardships, I know I am truly thankful for the wisdom of the Enchiridion and know my life has been changed for the better after reading it. And I am so very thankful that the Stoic wisdom of Epictetus and Arrian could be at least alluded to in a wonderful show about adventure and friendship. This is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon, and I thank you all for helping us spread practical, spiritual, occult wisdom.